One of the drivers whose future after 2023 is still quite unclear is Denny Hamlin. He had already committed to staying with Joe Gibbs Racing for at least another year, but the fact that his sponsors are probably going to lose up on him and Joe Gibbs Racing could be a deciding factor in his fate, and says volumes about Hamlin's future. Hamlin's future is jeopardized, was treated similarly by his now former team JGR, and we may be witnessing the end of Hamlin if events do not go as he had hoped. But what did Joe Gibbs just do to Denny Hamlin? Let's find out. Hello NASCAR fam, and welcome back to NASCAR Live. Before we begin, subscribe to our channel and hit the like button. And let's begin. The NASCAR Cup Series silly season was rather chaotic during the 2022 season, and with so many big free agents, it has all the makings to be just as intriguing next year. As a result of signing contracts with new teams for the 2023 NASCAR Cup Series season, some drivers are moving this offseason. At this time last year, some of the changes that have been made would have been viewed as shocking. Who would have imagined Tyler Reddick, who had a deal with RCR through 2023, that he would leave the organization and join 23XI Racing, switching from Chevrolet to Toyota? Who could have imagined that Kyle Busch, who had been Joe Gibbs Racing's driver for 15 years, would leave them and Toyota to take his place? Who would have anticipated that Aric Almirola's retirement announcement would end up being equal to Tom Brady's in terms of retirement announcement? However, those stood out as the least expected of the headline-grabbing actions that were made. There were other moves as well, and it's looking like silly season will be even crazier next year. The free agency pool for the following year is incredibly strong, and there is a lot of uncertainty at many of the biggest teams in sport. The only driver for Hendrick Motorsports without a deal until at least 2025 is Alex Bowman, who doesn't even have one for 2024. Will he and the team's principal sponsor Ally sign new contracts? If not, who will take his position behind the wheel of the number 48 Chevrolet, and where will he finish up? Daniel Suarez renewed his contract with Trackhouse Racing Team for the 2022 campaign. However, the agreement was only extended by 1 year. What must he accomplish in 2023 if he wants to be back behind the wheel of the number 99 Chevrolet in 2024 after a career year in 2022? Stewart-Haas Racing is facing even greater uncertainty, despite the fact that Almirola ultimately changed his mind and decided against retiring. It is still possible that he may do so under the terms of his new multi-year contract after the 2023 season, which would leave the number 10 Ford without a committed driver. Stewart-Haas Racing has changed drivers frequently recently. In fact, they have done it after each of the last 7 seasons. However, throughout each of those 6 off-seasons, they have only changed one driver. They might be forced to do so if Almirola retires, because Kevin Harvick does not have a contract to continue competing after 2023. The oldest driver in the sport, Harvick, revealed in the offseason of last year that his initial intention was to retire after the 2021 campaign, but he ultimately decided to sign a contract extension with Stewart-Haas Racing to continue driving the number 4 Ford through 2023. Will he retire after the 2023 season? JGR's situation is perhaps just as ambiguous. After the 2022 season, Martin Truex Jr. made a suggestion that he would consider retiring. But in the end, he decided to drive the number 19 Toyota for one more season in 2023. If it turns out to be his last, who will step in? Then there is Denny Hamlin, who is in a scenario similar to that of Kyle Busch, truly considers the possibility of him racing for another team other than Joe Gibbs Racing. Since the start of the Cup Series in 2005, Hamlin has been a member of the organization. Denny Hamlin has been with JGR for the last 18 years and will continue to do so. He and Michael Jordan are co-owners of the 23X1 Racing Team. Hamlin has shown that he still has the desire and is willing to put in the effort to drive in NASCAR, despite the fact that many people believed that this move would distance him from the driving element of the sport and focus him more on the managerial aspect. However, his future does not seem promising, primarily since the club is probably going to pull a fast one on his main sponsor FedEx. So, what really happened? Let's take a closer look. Prior to the 2021 NASCAR Cup Series season, Denny Hamlin and Joe Gibbs Racing agreed to a multi-year contract deal. FedEx also did so. Everything had been well up until last month, when it was announced that both deals would expire after the 2023 season. Anyone seeing a sense of Kyle Busch deja vu? This week, a fresh report was released discussing the delivery company's earnings with the start of the new Cup season less than 2 months away. And if number 11 supporters were not already a little worried about the prospect of their driver and his long-standing relationship with FedEx and JGR surviving beyond 2023, they definitely are now. After 2023, the contracts with Joe Gibbs Racing for FedEx and Denny Hamlin expire. Undoubtedly, the 2022 Cup Series season will stick in the minds of Denny Hamlin and his supporters, though perhaps not for the best. In winning 2 races in Richmond and Charlotte, there were undoubtedly some advantages. The Pocono disqualification, though, was historically significant. On the occasion at Texas during the playoffs, when William Byron tipped the JGR car under caution and NASCAR authorities bafflingly failed to see it, refused to reinstate the number 11 to its prior position, racing in second, and failed to sanction HMS car until days later. The most heartbreaking experience probably occurred in Martinsville, when Hamlin completed one final lap around the short circuit and believed that he had a good chance of moving on to the Championship 4 race in Phoenix and getting another chance to win the coveted championship. Ross Chastain then performed a technique that became famous after going viral, which left onlookers in awe. You can only imagine the driver's shock at being disqualified from title contention as a result of such action. The driver did not specifically get terrible news once the season was over, but his fans did. Hamlin and FedEx contracts with Joe Gibbs Racing expired after the 2023 season, according to a SiriusXM NASCAR radio article by Adam Stern of the Sport Business Journal at that time. Hamlin has a plan for ending his career. Denny Hamlin knows full well that his career is nearing its end at the age of 42. In an appearance on the well-known Dale Jr. Download podcast earlier this year, he acknowledged as much. When the host asked him if he would be interested in one day driving for his own 23XI racing squad, the driver gave an intriguing response that was worth listening to. He also talked about his plans for ending his career. Not if FedEx extends. Hamlin didn't think twice before saying, "I think that I would like to retire at Gibbs with FedEx because it's so unique to have a sponsor that has been part of the sport as long as they have and backed me as long as they have. There's just no way that I could leave them. Maybe at that point, then I just run 1 or 2 races. I would just like to retire at Gibbs with FedEx. But if things change, then things change, and you've got to reevaluate." Latest news from FedEx is not good. Unfortunately for Hamlin, a lot more has changed than before. The delivery business disclosed this week that it would make additional cost reductions of $1 billion as a result of weak demand, which reduced its quarterly profit. In response to decreasing global demand, the business announced cost-cutting steps in September that included storing planes and closing some operations. Additionally, it increased the rate of package delivery. The CEO at the time issued a warning that a global recession was imminent. In other words, FedEx executives are considering every single option for saving money. It makes sense that dropping a reputed $10 to $20 million annual NASCAR sponsorship would be a high-value option to explore. In that case, Hamlin would be following in Kyle Busch's less amusing footsteps from a year ago. The 2-time champion didn't want to be in that situation, and Hamlin will try to avoid it if at all possible, since, as he has acknowledged, at his age, he already faces enough natural obstacles. Meanwhile, the president of NASCAR, Steve Phelps, places a lot of hope in the next generation car, despite backlash and visible setbacks. NASCAR was founded more than 70 years ago out of a passion for vehicles and speed, and now it is well known. With millions of fans, it is quickly becoming one of the most popular sports. The sport has developed and established a reputation for itself over time. This is thanks to the support of the racers, their teams, and of course, the spectators. However, what does it hold for the future? For everything to grow, it is crucial to constantly evolve. Following the year 2020, which brought everything to a standstill, many new ownership structures, schedules, and point systems went into effect in order to make the NASCAR Cup Series race more exciting. After all the testing and trials in 2021, a bold decision was made when the next-gen car was debuted. For cost-saving purposes and to entice new OEMs, they designed the next-gen automobile. In addition to adding new technology to the courses, they enhanced the aerodynamics and downforce packages. President Steve Phelps recently discussed NASCAR and how it has changed in recent years in an interview, and he clarified the importance of the sport for development. In order to participate in the sport, he explained, one must have a connection to one of the 5 race teams. Phelps continued by saying that 19 different winners resulted from the car's ability to be raced, which saw a first-time winner, 5 of them, win. Up to this point in the NASCAR Cup Series 2022, the next-gen vehicle has excelled. Steve Phelps remarked in reference to the vehicle's safety. The car was designed with safety as the #1 priority for that car. It was designed to make sure that the horrific situation that we saw with Ryan Newman at the Daytona 500, the intrusion that happened into his vehicle, or the crushed roof that happened with Joey Logano at Talladega, that those things needed the strength of the car to be there. That is something that was first and foremost into why that car was designed. There will be many reasons to rejoice when NASCAR turns 75 in 2023. The fans have a lot to look forward to, with all the recent and exciting events, the addition of the race on the Chicago street track, and other exciting news. President Steve Phelps expressed a lot of happiness about all that is happening in the NASCAR scene. He stated, as a race fan, I am incredibly excited about that. We are thrilled for where this sport is. Thrilled for where the sport is going as we head into our media rights negotiation next year. As we head into kind of uncharted territories with the Chicago Street Course, we're going to continue to be bold and we're going to continue to be innovative. I believe that the best days of NASCAR are in front of us. I believe that to be true. And that ends today's episode. We sincerely hope you have enjoyed the video. If so, please click on the like button and share it with your friends and family. Also, do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel to see even more of our incredible videos. You can also check out our other videos that have been specially selected for you. We will catch up in the next video.